This is the Sync 4A media screen inside of the Mustang Mach E. There are a few small changes from last year's model, and technically even the first gen to the one in the 2023. And honestly, the big one, really just in graphical looks. It's like this was a car before in the previous gen, and it's just updated to some different icons, and that's reflected along the screen itself. So it looks fairly similar throughout, similar functionality, just a very slightly different layout. But let's dive in because I'm going to show you everything that you need to know about this screen. So starting off, along the very top, you've got your home icon, and pressing home allows you to go to either apps or entertainment. One interesting thing about the entertainment is that, so this one here has a series of different games that are available, but the second that you switch it out to drive, it grays these things out. So you can't actually use any of the entertainment unless you're fully parked, in which case you can. Along the very top, you've got a series of different control settings for the vehicle, little camera button, and then you've got what's currently going on with connectivity, outside temperature, time, and then user profile along the top right-hand side there. So you can see there are different profiles that are available. So there are so many different things that are available. So let's kind of dive in and I'll show you everything you need to know. Home icon along the very top there. So let's just go between apps or entertainment. So you've got your radio icon along the top there. And that's going to shoot out your active screen, all of your available presets, and then you've got a hot button press along the very bottom for things that may have been opened up last. So you've got your maps, charging, tire pressure, and a series of other things. But starting off with radio, you've got AM, FM, SiriusXM. If your phone was hooked up over Bluetooth, that would show up as an available option as we go through this app section. Because if we also have a USB stick with MP3s on it, you could also plug that in. Then watch this. So you can see there, boom, USB has shown up. And it's the same way when a phone's connected, so you'd have some Bluetooth audio sources that were available there too. But if you click through, you can see there, so there are a few things that are on this. Now, this is the Mustang Mach E Premium with the upgraded Bang & Olufsen sound system. So this is pretty good, but I'm going to turn it up to half volume. Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day. Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day. So just like an incredible audio experience inside of this thing. You can push this button along the very top for some other basic information as well. But it's straightforward. Now, one neat thing, so if we go in to our sound settings, gonna change out a few things. So treble, mid-range, bass are all zeroed out. But if you drop the treble down a little bit, crank the bass a little bit, let's go back home. I want you to listen to this again. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. So by making those two small tweaks to the treble and to the bass, it just pumps audio through this thing and it sounds unbelievable. So I love the audio inside of this thing, but I mean, clicking through to the radio, you've got a series of options. So you've got AM, FM, SiriusXM. And then as you move through here, you've got a series of other presets that are available. So preset pages or your tuning information, so your HD radio data. And that's the same thing when you go AM, FM. SiriusXM gives you a few other options. So you've got notification. Big one there is if you're listening to a song or to an artist that you like, you can essentially tap, and every time that that artist or that song comes on, it's going to let you know. You can manage your active connections there as well on top of that. So if you've saved any, it would show up there. And like I said, big benefit there is that if that song or if that artist comes on, it's going to let you know. You can see what's currently going on for category view. Takes a second to load up. There we go. So all of your different options that are available. Browse by different categories. So like music, sports, talk, etc. You can flip channels out this way instead if you want to. You can also press the voice command prompt on the steering wheel if you wanted to change songs, radio stations, navigate using your voice and things like that. So a ton of different options. Kind of nice. You can push this in order to get to some advanced SiriusXM settings too. So you've got your subscription information. You can personalize it. And the big one there is creating a listener. So if multiple people are driving this vehicle, you can create a unique listener for your listening settings and things like that. And that's different from the overall user profile. This is one for specifically SiriusXM, but along the top here, you can set up a unique profile that's going to link a number of other things as well. Pretty nice. But you've got listening history, different settings that are available. So if you wanted to edit out your name, you could do that. You could change out your avatar, so there are a few different basic icons there. Block explicit content, reset history, and things like that. But whether you're on AM, FM, SiriusXM, etc., there are different ways that you can search for different stations. So you can do that way, you can do plus that way, seek out to the next active station, and then if you wanted to save a preset, once you've tuned to whatever station, you're just going to press and hold, preset saved, and as you can see there, it saved that preset for us. And it's a mix of AM, FM, SiriusXM, etc. So many. Button press in order to drop that down again. So it's kind of neat that you've got that available. So many things. Next up, moving into phone. So as of right now, no phones are connected, and it's very straightforward to do it. So you're going to hit phone, and then on your phone, you're going to go to Bluetooth, and we're going to go add device.
Search for your vehicle on your device and select it once it is found.
Select Mustang Mach E.
Confirm that the pin displayed on sync matches the pin displayed on your device.
Pins match up. Do we want to allow contacts and favorites to sync up? I'm going to hit no. But I mean, obviously, if this was your Mach E, you'd want to do that.
Please stay alert to changing road conditions and use Sync's voice-activated features while your vehicle is in motion.
Well, thank you. And we're just going to close out there. You can see there, 911 assist. Big benefit there is that if your phone's connected and you're in a serious accident, it's going to dial 911 for you automatically. Now, obviously, a few things to take into account there. If you're in a minor accident, like a small fender bender and things like that, it won't. But a serious accident, it'll dial for you. So definitely recommend turning that one on. And as you can see there, it says download failed because I said no to everything there. But you could dial out that way if you want to. You can press and hold the voice command prompt on the steering wheel if you wanted to activate your Siri Assistant there as well. So very straightforward. And you can see what devices are currently connected along the top there. So clicking down, we're connected over Bluetooth. We can connect to Apple CarPlay if we want, delete the phone from the vehicle, or move to some advanced settings. So we can go messaging, roaming warnings, and things like that. Once I get the other phone connected as well, I'll come back to this screen, but you can have multiple phones connected with a pretty neat functionality. But now on the phone, it's asking me, do I want to allow CarPlay with the Mach E? So you could do that, but before I do, one other thing. You can see there, phone's connected, but if you go to your media sources now, you've also got your phone that's also there available for media. So if you've got different songs in your phone, if you wanted to stream over Bluetooth, you've got that flexibility, which is kind of cool. Pretty nice. Now, let's go to Apple CarPlay. So as of right now, we can use it. So all we have to do is hit Use CarPlay, Enable. Perfect. There we go. And look at this. Beautiful. I love it's like a giant Apple CarPlay phablet. It is wild. I love this though. This is so nice. Now, a few things. Obviously, I mean, as you can see there, stretched across the entire screen, which looks fantastic. But you've got Apple Maps, Google Maps, and Waze that you can use right through this screen. But I'll go over a few basic highlights first. So along the very bottom, you've got like a hot button tray for CarPlay. So this brings you either back to your home screen or to this essentially like icon view instead. You can easily move across. Along the very bottom tray, you've got 3 individual icons. So it's which map application was opened last, which radio or music app was opened last, and which miscellaneous app was last opened. So I mean, if you open up your calendar, that'll show. But if you open up Apple Maps, so there you go. You can see there, Apple Maps, you can do a drag and drop, but no pinch to zoom. If you wanted to zoom out, you're going plus or minus this way. You can go head up, 2D, 3D, whatever the case may be. Search for destinations, previous destinations. Back home, you can go into Google Maps, and it's the same idea, but Google Maps, no flexibility there. If you wanted to move it around, you've got to go this way in order to make it happen. And then done. Search for addresses. Hopping inside, you can go route options, so avoiding highways, toll roads, ferries, satellite maps, and traffic and things like that. So a ton of options available. And same idea with Waze. So that's one nice thing about the Apple side of things is that you can use Google Maps, Apple Maps, or Waze right through this middle screen. Back home, Hoopla is a radio app. So you've got a few different options that are available there. If you wanted to listen to books that way, you could. If you prefer podcasts, you've got so many different options that are available inside of this thing. But one really cool thing on the Apple side is that if you go into your general settings on your phone, you can go into CarPlay and then go to your Mach E. You can forget the car, toggle CarPlay off, or you can customize. So if you're a big fan of, let's say, listening to podcasts and audiobooks with maybe prefer Waze, We can drag all of these settings up if we want to. If you're not a fan of things, you could also remove them from the vehicle, and it's essentially remove them from the screen completely, but they are available. You can add them back in along the very bottom. But let's say if you played around with this too much, you don't like what you've done, along the very top, you can hit reset, and that's just going to bring the screen back to the factory default layout there instead. So it is pretty nice that you've got that available as an option. You can move this way, hop back home if you want to go to these screens. So if you prefer to use factory navigation, you could. So you could be running off of your phone through CarPlay if you wanted to in order to listen to audio. And then you can hop inside of here if you wanted to run off of factory nav instead. So I know quite a bit there, but that's how you set up Apple CarPlay inside of the Mach E. All right, now setting up an Android is the exact same process. So I mean, obviously from the screen, we can push home. And one thing I actually forgot to point out, you can reconnect to CarPlay along the very top. Hopping into phone there, you can see that hops us right back into CarPlay. So now in order to be able to add a phone back in, all you're going to do is go settings instead, phone list, and you've got the iPhone that was connected, or you can hit add phone. Same idea, so we're going to disconnect from this.
Search for your vehicle on your device and select it once it is found.
Okay, so we are waiting for the Mach E to show up. There we go. So we're going to go Mach E.
Confirm that the pin displayed on Sync matches the pin displayed on your device.
Pins match up.
For your safety, please stay alert to changing road conditions and use Sync's voice-activated features while your vehicle is in motion.
And same idea, I'm just going to hit no to this. So I'm going to deny for messages and contacts, etc. But I mean, as you can see there, fully connected now. Device supports Android Auto, so let's go ahead and enable that. So connecting to Android Auto right now. So you can close off from there. And so Android Auto, connecting through. And boom, as you can see there, fully connected. So you've got capability to search. You've got your maps there. And one cool thing on Google Maps side of things and Android Auto, you've got full pinch to zoom capability. Current weather, and you've got CBC News along the very bottom tray. Very similar layout to what we saw on the Apple side. So you can push there to get to kind of this split view instead. So you can go between all your icons, push there to get the split view. You've got your Google Assistant there as well. So you can either push the button there, you can push and hold your button there instead. And then you've got a series of other options along the very bottom there instead. So you can see what's currently going on with your connection status and battery level as well. So very straightforward. You can look back into Android Auto there. Now one thing, so my phone actually does, so the Android here does have Waze installed, but I mean, as you can see there, you can't use Waze as an available option. So it's just not there as you move through all of these different options. So you don't have quite as much flexibility as what you saw on the Apple side of things, but you've at least got Google Maps, which is great. And it works the same way as what we saw on the Apple side. So you've got your settings there, route options, so avoiding toll roads, ferries, and things like that. Now, if you head back home to your settings, you can go to your phone list, and you've got both phones that were connected. So currently connected to Android Auto, but watch this. We're going to go Android Auto, or for the Android, I should say, for phone and for the audio, but maybe you have a preference and you want to listen to audio on one phone or the other. So you can see there it's disconnected. It's disconnected from the audio. So you can make phone calls on one phone and listen to music on the other. So you can kind of do like a mix and match for audio and for the phone connection for either one. But you can either go Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. So it's an either or there, but you can do any sort of mix of the two when you look at that. So it's kind of neat that you've got that available as an option. You can go into some advanced settings if you wanted to go that route, or just delete, and same idea, delete, and that's remove both phones from the vehicle. So it's that easy setting up Android Auto and Apple CarPlay inside of the Mustang Mach E. All right, so that's the basics of adding in a phone. Next up, hopping back home. So you've got USB, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, or jump into charging. So you can see what your current battery level is. So how full are we? How much range do we have? EV driving history. So you can press and hold in order to reset there instead if you want. You can look at departure and comfort. So this is a neat one because you can essentially precondition your cabin based off of certain days and times. So let's say if Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you leave at, 8 o'clock in the morning and you want things nice and medium. You've got that flexibility. And then 5 days, let's say you want later on at night, you're going to leave work and you want things nice and cool, you've got that flexibility. So you can kind of do like a mix and match between different days, different times, whatever the case may be. You can clear selected, you can clear all, and that's going to get rid of all of your departure times. So one of the big benefits there is that if you are leaving at the same time every day, you can precondition the cabin so you're not essentially wasting electricity as you drive instead. So just plug in overnight, set yourself up there, and you're good to go. And then you've also got charging locations. So one thing to consider with charging locations, if you've never plugged into charge before, it's not going to give you the flexibility to set this up. So all you have to do is take your Mach E, plug in, and it's going to give you your current location. Once you've done that, you're just going to click the location. You can name it however you want, and you can set your max charge level. So let's say if you're plugged in at home, at work, whatever the case may be, how much do you want your vehicle to be charged up to at a maximum? So you do have a few options that are available there. Just hit next through, and then you can either select what time of the day it's charging up, weekend or weekday, which is kind of cool. And you can set 2 individual charge windows. So let's say you normally get home from, 8 o'clock until 12 o'clock. You want your first charge window, and then you want your second charging to happen between 4 o'clock and 7 o'clock. You've got that flexibility. You can delete out one or both charge windows, and then you can select however you'd like to there, just kind of doing a simple drag and drop. And that means that the vehicle's only going to charge during those times on the weekday, and then weekend, you can have it charge anytime, or same idea. Select what time of the day or times of the day you want this thing to charge up. And then you just delete out. So weekends, let's just say we get weekend rates, so we want it to charge anytime. Cheap electricity rates, let's say it starts at 10 o'clock, runs until 5. We want that to be our charge window during the weekday. All you do is hit next, and it shows you what's going to happen. So at this location, weekday, it's going to charge up from 10 p.m. until 5 a.m. Weekend, it's going to charge around the clock at any time. You're just going to save, and that's it. So when you go to charge up at this time, you plug in, it's going to automatically take you to whatever you've set up there. You can edit this out if you want to. You can move back through if you want to kind of adjust things. So if you want to just be able to charge anytime, double check, yes, no, hit save, boom, and you're set to go. So it's that simple using the charge location, or you can just turn the charge location off if you want to. And it lets you know how long it's going to take you to fully charge up based off of where we are. And I mean, the vehicle obviously, like, it does support either level 1, level 2 charging, or DC supercharging as well, which is nice. Kind of cool though. Next up, series of other options that are available. So you can see there, charging we just did. You can see what's going on tire pressure-wise. So you can see, balanced out for PSI there, pretty much back in front, which is nice. Moving into your trip counter. So you've got your trip energy, so current trip. And as you can see there, along the bottom, as we use any of these things, it essentially adds it in as like our last opened item, which is kind of cool. But you've got this trip 1 versus trip 2 counter. Any option, you can also just do a reset if you want to. And you can see your overall. So acceleration, how much speed or how much battery you're using for deceleration, etc. Kind of nice. This trip, you can see what's going on. So if you're kind of really conscious about what you're using, you can go here in order to see what's going on as you drive. Back home, fully digital owner's manual, which is nice. So if you're getting some weird messages on the cluster, you're not really sure. I guess the big one would be like maintenance schedule. So if you're not really sure what you can do or when you're supposed to be doing it, you can see maintenance. Oh, there we go. Maintenance schedule. So it's going to let you know what you should be doing as you go. So this is really, really useful. So, I mean, obviously, if you're getting some weird messages, you're not really sure what happens or what different things do, you've got that flexibility. Next up, you've got entertainment. So tiles, blocks, and a series of other things. So you've got a series of games that you can play here, which is kind of cool. But, oh, that's kind of nice. Ooh, different levels of Sudoku. Cool. So you've got a series of different games that are available, but you can only play the games when the vehicle is stationary. So you don't have the flexibility of being able to play any of these games on the fly, unfortunately, as you're driving. I mean, it kind of makes sense. You want to make sure that it's even like the GD Sudoku. You need a little bit of help, you've got that flexibility. But this is actually kind of cool. So you've got these systems built right into the screen, which is kind of nice. So if you're a big fan of playing games as you go, you've got that flexibility. But the second we go to drive, boom, features are disallowed. So you can see there, you can't actually play the game unless you put this thing back into park again. Kind of nice. New game, how to play, but I mean, series of different games that are available inside of this thing. Next up along the very top there, you've got a series of other options that are available. So series of controls, you can open up your trunk, open up your trunk. If you're plugged in, you can also lock the plug there as well. And series of other modes. You've got Whisper, Engage versus Unbridled, which this is slightly different than the previous gen system, just the look of it. This is kind of nice. Cool. One pedal driving. So that essentially means you don't necessarily need to worry about the brake. It's really just the accelerator pedal. You take your foot off the accelerator and the vehicle comes to a pretty rapid stop. Propulsion sound plays a little sound on the outside as you drive. The auto hold setting, if you have the vehicle in drive and you come to a complete stop, you can take your foot off the brake and the vehicle's not going to move. So it's a very useful setting from that perspective. You can also go through a calming screen instead. So if you find the screen too busy, we can just have it so that it's this instead. Button press to bring it back to life again. Back into settings. So very straightforward. Jumping into sound settings, which we've seen treble, mid-range, bass that you can adjust. Balance and fade, so if you want it focused on you, focused on everybody. Speed adjusted volume. As you're going faster, slower, whatever the case may be, it's automatically going to raise or lower the volume as necessary. Phone, we've already seen adding in a phone. Driver assistant, a boatload of settings. So auto hold setting, we've already seen that one. Adaptive cruise has a few different options available. So you can either switch it out to normal cruise if you want to, or you've got the adaptive. You've got lane centering with hands-free, so the vehicle is essentially going to keep us perfectly balanced in the lane as you go. Do you want to activate, so prompts, so it lets us know, do you want to use this system, yes or no? So if you have it turned off, it's just automatically going to turn that system on when you press the system inside of the steering wheel. Predictive speed assist is an interesting one. So you've got a tolerance level there. So if you have it set at 0, what's going to happen is if you've got the adaptive cruise system going, and let's say if the speed limit is 80 kilometers an hour, but the speed drops from 80 down to 50, it's going to automatically, if you've got the tolerance level set at 0, bring you right down to 50 again. But you've got a plus or minus 30 either way. So if you kind of are okay with driving a little bit faster, a little bit slower, whatever the case may be, you can adjust your tolerance level there. So if the speed automatically drops or automatically raises, it's going to either raise or lower your speed based off of your tolerance level. In-lane repositioning means that it's going to slow your vehicle down or speed you up again if there's a vehicle that's next to you that's trying to change lanes. And then lanes change assist is a neat one because if you've got your signal going, so left or right, it's going to take a peek on the side of the vehicle. And as long as nobody's there, it's automatically going to change lanes for you. It's a pretty cool one. Speed limit assist. You get a speed warning if you're going a little bit too fast. Lane keeping system works 3 different ways. So first way is an alert. So if you start to veer over into another lane without signaling, it'll shake the steering wheel as if you're running over rumble pavement. The aid is going to nudge you back into your lane, and the alert and the aid will do both. And then what's the intensity of the steering wheel shake? Pre-collision assist, a few different options that are available. So you've got the automatic braking. So if the vehicle senses a potential collision, it's going to automatically brake for you. Evasive steering means that it essentially puts the vehicle steering wheel in like a hypersensitivity mode to help you get out of the way of an accident a little bit easier. So it tightens things up quite a little bit. And then your sensitivity mode for that system. Or you can turn all of these things off if you want. Rear view camera delay. Blind spot system is a useful one. So if somebody's entered the blind spot on either side of the vehicle, it's going to highlight orange on the side view mirror, letting us know. Cross traffic alert. If somebody's coming perpendicular, so there's a potential collision as you go to back up, it's going to let you know of that potential collision. Reverse brake assist. If there is an obstacle behind you, it's going to let you know of a potential collision as you go. So if there's a potential collision, it's going to automatically brake for you. And then driver alert is tied to the lane keeping system. So if you start to veer over into another lane too many times without signaling, it's going to tell you should probably take a break. Moving into some vehicle settings. So series of other options. So vehicle power down timer means it's automatically going to turn off. Rear occupant alert. When you go to turn the vehicle off, it's going to let you know to check the back seats. Make sure you didn't forget a kid or pet back there. Easy entry exit means that when the vehicle's turned on, so with this turned on and you go to turn the vehicle on, it's automatically going to lower and back the seat up in order for you to get into the vehicle a little bit easier. And same idea when you go to turn the vehicle off. My Key lets you create limitations for an individual key fob, so max speed. You can't listen to the radio past a certain level, things like that. You've got an onboard serial number, basic alarm setup, remote start. So you could remote start through your phone if you want to. And when you do, what happens? You can turn the whole system off so that you just can't remote start. But is climate going to be based off of last settings, or does the vehicle determine what it should be? With the with this heated seats and steering wheel, does it come on automatically or nothing? And then the duration of the start, so 5, 10, or 15 minutes. So a matter of preference there. But I mean, obviously, if you're preconditioning your cabin, you're set to go there. Windows, you do have the flexibility of using the key fob to roll the windows open and closed, which is kind of cool. So let's hop outside and I'll show you how that process works. In order to roll them down, you press the unlock button twice. On the second button press, you're going to hold. So you're going to go 1, 2, and hold. Down they go. You can lock to stop it part way, or double press again in order to be able to continue the cycle. And then in order to be able to roll them up, you're going to press the lock button twice. And same idea. On the second button press, you're going to hold. So you're going to go 1, 2, and hold. Same idea. You can unlock part way in order to stop, or you just double press again. And back up they go. And it's that simple to do it. So that is a pretty cool process, and I love that it's both open and closed. Next up, you've got a series of options for wipers. Courtesy wipe, so if you've got a wipe cycle going on your wipers, courtesy wipe means it's going to go one more time after your cycle to get rid of any excess liquid. Reverse wiper, so if your wipers are going and you put the vehicle in reverse, it's automatically going to turn on your rear wiper as well. Power liftgate, you can enable or disable the switch on the outside. Lighting, auto high beam, so if your high beams are on, oncoming vehicle is oncoming, it's going to lower your high beams and then bring them back up again. Welcome lighting on the outside, and then lamp delay. When you go to lock the vehicle after you turn it off, do the lamps just turn off, or do they stay on for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, or 120 seconds? Options for your locks, so auto unlock, mislock chirps, walk away lock is a new one. So as you're walking away, if you forget to lock your vehicle, it's automatically going to lock it for you instead. And then audible feedback, so if you go to shut the doors, but you don't actually shut them fully and go to lock, you're going to get chirps and let you know that it hasn't locked the door for you instead. Mirrors, auto fold, which means that when you go to lock the vehicle, side view mirrors are automatically going to fold in. Door keypad code, so you can enter in a 5-digit factory number and set up your own unique one on top of that. A mobility kit is good for 4 years, and it's going to let you know after that 4-year mark that it needs to be replaced. The goop anyways needs to get replaced. Brake coach on the vehicle itself, so as you go to drive, it's going to let you know when you should be braking. Useful if you're new to the EV world. Low battery alert when you get to 30, 50, or 80 kilometers. So depending on how far you are from home, that actually is a useful one to have on. And then your driving history, you can reset. And then if you prefer to be in either kilometers or miles per hour. Next up, series of general settings. Do you want to be English, Spanish, or French? Celsius or Fahrenheit? Pounds or kilograms, I should say. Do you want to measure in PSI or bar, whatever the case may be? The beep, you could technically turn that off if you want to. And then you can reset if you want to bring everything back to the factory default instead. So, ooh, that's cool. You can also go up and down in order to see some other settings. So brightness, if you want it darker, brighter, dark mode, and that's specifically for the cluster screen. So you've got either light mode, dark mode, or auto, meaning that the vehicle is going to determine if you're in the light or the dark mode, just depending on how bright it is outside. And then your center display mode. So this technically is the light mode, but same idea, you can permanently lock it to daytime, to light time, or you can go auto mode, and the vehicle's automatically going to determine what mode you're in just based off of how bright it is. Clock settings, so let's update that. That should be 2:40 in the PM, perfect. And then you've got your 24-hour mode, so if you prefer that military time instead. And then auto time zone update. So based off of your time zone, it's automatically going to update the time for you. And then ambient light, it's a series of other options that are available there. And it shows in different parts of the vehicle, so you can adjust how bright the ambient light is. And then also what color the ambient light is, which is kind of cool. 911 assist, we saw when you were setting up the phone. So if you're in a potential collision, it's automatically going to dial 911 for you. Connectivity, you've got connected vehicle features. So it's like sharing telematics and things like that with Ford. Bluetooth, so you can toggle your whole Bluetooth system off if you want to, but this is where you go to change your vehicle name. So you can just press that, and then you can adjust this to whatever you want it to be instead. So if you'd prefer it to be something rather than just a generic Mach E, that's where you're going. So connectivity, Bluetooth. Wireless app projections there, manage Wi-Fi network. So if you want to connect to a Wi-Fi network at home for vehicle updates and things like that, you've got that flexibility. You do have a wireless hotspot available inside of this thing, but you do need a data-only plan through some mobile phone providers in order to get that. But it is useful. But I mean, most phones, like 20 plus gigs, you could do it. It's just that if you wanted to use your vehicle as a wireless hotspot, you could. Like I said, you just need to have an active data plan through your cell phone provider specifically for your vehicle. You can actually go through the Ford Pass app on your phone as well in order to be able to set that up. Software updates, big one here. I honestly just recommend scheduling it later on at night because sometimes the updates might take like 3 or 4 hours. So you don't want to interrupt an update as you go, but it does take quite a little bit sometimes to be able to update this thing. Ford Assistant gives you a ton of options. I honestly recommend getting used to what you can do inside of this. Because the big thing is obviously with the Mach E, the climate settings are built right into the screen. So I mean, it is nice because you can adjust it this way if you want to, or you can kind of go up and down. But you can also change the climate settings using the voice command prompt on the steering wheel. So if you wanted to, you'd be able to change the individual settings for driver passenger side. You'd be able to do so many things. So just get used to this. But you can change songs, radio stations. You can navigate to different locations if you want to. You've got phone, different options that are available. There are so many useful features inside of this thing. I kind of like it, but tons of different options that are available, which is kind of cool. You've got listen for wake word. And the big benefit of the wake word is that rather than pressing the voice command prompt, you can say any one of these words. It's automatically going to launch your voice assistant instead. Advanced mode means you won't get as many notifications. Phone confirmation, do you want to call such and such person, yes or no? And then your voice command list is this list here. So whether or not that one shows up is going to be a matter of preference. You've also got a valet mode. So entering in a nice complicated password like 0000, don't use that, but it locks the whole screen out. So you can't do, with the exception of climate, but you can't do anything else until you enter your 4-digit number again. So very straightforward. And next up, you've got your camera icon along the top. So you've got your full 360 view, and you can zoom in to each individual corner if you want to. The park sensing system, so that beeping that you get as you back up, if that drives you nuts, you could turn it off. Honestly, recommend keeping it on, though. It is a very useful setting. But through this camera, you can go full 360 view, front 180 view as well, which is kind of cool. All right, and then from there, exit out, and you've got your individual profile. So one of the big benefits there is that you can set it up and you can link so many different things. So you create your own unique profile. You can have it remember all of your individual settings. You can have it so that it links up to your cell phone and everything else, specifically for your profile. So it's very, very useful if you have multiple people driving the vehicle. All you have to do is set up your profile name, set up your seat settings and things like that. It just walks through it. It's such a great process. Honestly, the big reason why it's useful is, like I said, if you've got multiple people driving this thing, you just log in, you set up your profile. It's going to remember all of your presets, all of your settings, all of your previous destinations and things like that. So it is a very useful setting to actually set up. Next up, ton of other options that are available. Big one, I guess, here would be navigation. So this thing does have factory navigation. I mean, as you can see there, nice pinch to zoom capabilities on it as well. It's very responsive. You can zoom back into the car if you want to, change it up to 2D, 3D, etc. You can easily search for addresses there as well. And one cool thing about the addresses is that you can search by GPS coordinates, so latitude, longitude, or you can just type in addresses. Another cool thing is that you can press the voice command prompt, navigate to Tim Hortons.
Which item would you like? Starting route to Tim Hortons.
So there you can either say the number or you can just press on the screen there.
Obey traffic laws. Be alert and use voice commands while driving.
Well, thank you. So you can see there.
Drive the highlighted route.
We can see the details. You can change your heading there. You can press this if you wanted to see the full route. Move back through to the end destination or back to the full route and then rotate the screen out. But I mean, it's super straightforward there. You can exit along the top if you wanted to cancel the route. Hop back inside. Look at your home or work address. So big benefit there is that if you set up your home address, you can use the voice command prompt and say navigate home, navigate to work, whatever the case may be. And that'll be based off of your addresses you've set up there. You can explore if you wanted to go to different things like restaurants, parking, different things. So many point of interest icons. And then you can look at your recent, which we've gone to the Tim Hortons there. So you could push that if you want to. Save it as a favorite. You can hit go. You can look at different traffic alerts and things like that, whether or not you're going to need to charge up. So many options. And then route settings, if you wanted to be able to do things like changing your guidance prompts, you wanted to avoid certain things along your route as you go, or you just hit go. Other option is to hit delete, and it's removed that location from this vehicle as well. But I mean, it is kind of cool because you've got the flexibility of doing a ton of things, like even adjusting certain things on the route as you go. So if you wanted to add in multiple destinations, you can do that as you go. You can look at different trips. You can add in different addresses this way. So if you wanted to go and add in 3, 4, 5, 10 different stops, you've got that flexibility, which is kind of cool. It's actually kind of nice. I like how flexible and how easy this thing is. But I mean, let's say if you wanted to go, I don't know, maybe we want to go to Tim Hortons. I love how I navigate to Tim Hortons. Regardless, okay, we're going to hit go. And I'll show you why in a second.
Drive to highlighted route.
So we're going to go details there. You can see the entire trip, turn-by-turn list, or you can edit. And now we can edit a destination. So let's say if along the way you wanted to maybe stop and get gas, well, I guess we're in an electric. So we wanted to charge up first. We can go chargers, and of course we need to activate. But who knows? Maybe we want to stop at a bank first. Go to the ATM. Boom. And go. So we've got the locations that we've got to go. We can delete along the way, or we can add in multiple destinations from there. So it is pretty cool that that's available. And then you can discard all of your options for the trip. Exit out. Cancel. So I mean, that's straightforward to do it. Like I said, change up your headings there. You can see what direction you're currently facing, the city that you're in, your elevation, and you can go for some advanced settings as well. So you can see what's going on up ahead. It's kind of nice. Exit services, traffic alerts, where are you? Close out, or go to some advanced settings. So if you wanted to look at your map and vehicle views, you could. Go to your guidance. So you've got options. So either a voice prompt or a tone. So big benefit there is, upcoming turn 200 meters, or a beep letting you know that you've got an upcoming turn. You've got auto zoom during guidance, so it's going to automatically zoom in or out depending on how close you are to your destination. Fastest, the shortest, or the most eco-friendly route. Do you want to automatically add chargers to your route as necessary? Very useful if you're going further than what your Mach E is going to be able to travel on one charge. Do you want to avoid certain things like U-turns, toll roads, ferries, unpaved roads, 4x4 routes, and things like that? Add options for searching, so we could change our coordinates, like how do you want to search? How do we want to sort? Different traffic options. Do you want to turn off your traffic alerts, and things like that? Notifications. Which notifications do we want to get as you go? User data. Destination suggestions. So if you go to the same location multiple times, it can let you know where you're going. Clear trip log or export data. And then your basic about section. So a lot of information there. Along the very bottom, I did mention this is kind of like your hot button tray for what was open last. So if you wanted to hop into any of these options, you could. So we've got our charge locations. Can switch out to the map instead. So you've got a few basic ones there. And then climate control along the very bottom. So you've got dual zone climate control inside of this thing. But one cool thing is that you can adjust the climate this way if you want to, but you can also select and then use the knob in order to adjust it instead. Kind of cool. Same thing, adjust the driver passenger side, auto, air conditioning, yes, no. Do you want this going to your windshield face feet? Turn it off, max air conditioning, air circulation, electronic heat, and then like I said, windshield face feet, and then you do have dual zone climate control. So the dual zone button's now enabled because we've got the passenger side set up to different than the driver. But if you hit dual, of course, if you hit dual there, It's just going to default the passenger side to whatever the driver's side is instead. And then a few things, like this is kind of cool, because even as we adjust this, we can adjust out the heated seat button to a different option. We can have it automatically be set. And that's the same thing for the driver and for the passenger side. So we can either tap the screen, or when it's on, you can adjust it that way instead. Heated steering wheel on, yes or no? Do you want your fan speed adjusted out there? It's kind of neat that you've got that option. Max windshield defroster, rear window defroster as well. Then you've also got volume rocker. So with your audio on, off, whatever the case may be. So I know that's a lot of information, but I love it. And that's everything, like literally everything you need to know about the Sync 4 media screen inside of the Mustang Mach E.